To my YouTube channel, One Race, Human Race, All Human. Today is Saturday, September 18th, 2021.
Frank Figliuzzi is the writer of this opinion piece, and Frank is joining me right now. Of course, Frank, former FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence and now an MSNBC National Security Analyst, which we're grateful for. Frank, good to see you. Give me, first of all, your assessment of where things stand at this hour. We haven't seen that many people show up, so are you confident that law enforcement took the right steps, even if there will be those who interpret everything as being overly prepared for anything that could have happened today?
Well, Alex, if I can shamelessly borrow a phrase from the T.S. Eliot poem, this is how the rally ends, not with a bang, but a whimper. It seems that it is wrapping up, and it's not quite all done with everybody going home yet, but it seems like the police did exactly the right thing. They had some conflicting intelligence. They erred on the side of caution. There was a tremendous show of force and security, and that sent the right message. So let's look at what we can learn from today and what it might mean moving ahead. In fact, the group that organized today's rally is called Look Ahead. So let's do that. We had minimal presence today from anybody motivated to spend their cash on bus tickets, train tickets, airfare. They didn't come. What does this tell us? Maybe the disinformation and conspiracy theories aren't resonating that deeply enough to motivate the general population to show up. Number two, we did not see the presence in any large number of known domestic violent extremist groups. 3%ers, Oath Keepers, Proud Boys. They decided not to come. What did we learn from that? The January 6th investigation with over 600 arrests, 60 guilty pleas, is having a chilling effect on people who are planning and thinking about violence. Proud Boys chatter that I've seen has said, we don't want to get arrested. It's a trap. They're going to arrest all of us. And then lastly, I was looking for radicalizing rhetoric. Who's at the podium? Well, we didn't have any sitting members of Congress at the podium. We didn't have any high-profile people. We had a message from the former president, Donald Trump, yesterday saying hearts and minds are with those being persecuted unfairly for January 6th. Did that resonate with anybody? No. Was he trying to be at the rally without being at the rally? Yes. What's the message here? This isn't the cause you think it was. If you're in the GOP and you're thinking, I'm going to get behind this unfair persecution nonsense, that's not working for people. That's the message from today. And I think it's a positive message moving forward.
So our colleague Yazin Vasugian was on the ground and said that there had been an arrest there by somebody who was there with a long knife weapon. They were looking for somebody else who had a description and was supposed to have been there with a weapon as well. Overall, you have DHS saying in a memo that was obtained by the New York Times that individuals can mobilize to violence with little to no warning, and that likely use of encrypted platforms could challenge law enforcement's ability to disrupt potential plotting. So is this, in your mind, a major challenge, or do you think DHS is going to have access to closely monitoring any online activity?
Yeah, I am still very concerned that the rules of the road have not changed for law enforcement, FBI, DHS. Remember, we still don't have a domestic terrorism law in the United States like we do for international terrorism. That means the investigative techniques are still not there. You always have to wait for somebody to say, I'm moving toward violence before you can open the case, get the undercover agent in the chat room, get the wiretap. The rules haven't changed there. So yes, encryption is a challenge. And one of the concerns today with all the force, the decision to show force was, are we missing something? Have they gone deeper now and they're not planning online? I also think the challenge ahead is local. The local and county police departments can't do the show of force we saw today at their state capitals. There are local rallies throughout the United States today and next weekend. That's the next thing to watch. Going local.
Yeah, and you've been sounding that alarm for a few weeks now about what would happen potentially in state capitals. Let me ask you about something in your column on MSNBC.com in which you wrote about the framing of this event, Frank, that the false notion that somehow the January 6th insurrection was a nonviolent protest and that those involved were patriots, and describing those charged as political prisoners. What disturbs you most about this narrative, other than it flies in the face of the video-supported common sense?
Yeah, I think what the signal is here is how divided we are in terms of where we get our information and what we're being told. So context is really important. Were thousands of people at this rally who did not act out violently? Absolutely. Are we talking about 800 people who breached security and only 800 people, yes. And then a smaller handful that assaulted officers and did $30 million worth of property damage, yes. If you watch certain news networks or get your source from certain platforms, get your information from certain platforms, you're not even hearing or seeing any of those disturbing videos. So this, and if you're not looking at facts, 60 people have pled guilty already, saying, yep, that was me, I did it, you got me. That's important to know. Then a judge has held, what, a couple of dozen people at least for being too dangerous to release because they were there to assault police officers. They were ready for it. So you got to find the truth here. That's the most disturbing part of this myth, that it wasn't violent and that people are being somehow persecuted.
Okay, Frank Figliuzzi, thanks for your time and for always bringing the facts to us. Appreciate that. It was a deadly mistake, but how could it happen? And why did it take weeks for the Pentagon to correct almost everything it had said about that tragic drone strike misfire? I'm going to speak with Chair of the House Armed Services Committee about that in just a few minutes.